In the day's other news, officials said a 16-year-old student clearly planned an attack on his Southern California high school because he made sure he had one bullet left. The gunman shot and killed 2 students and wounded 3 more on Thursday, then shot himself with the last round. He remains in critical condition today. Investigators, meanwhile, search for what drove the attack.
No motive or rationale has yet been established for the subject's assault. Suffice it to say, we did not find any manifesto, any diary that spelled it out, any suicide note, or any writings which will clearly identify his motive behind this assault.
Police have not publicly identified the shooter, but they say he had no apparent ties to the victims other than attending the same school. In Iraq, thousands of protesters turned out in Baghdad, but security forces opened fire again, killing 3 people. Crowds filled a central square after breaking through barriers, and soldiers and police turned to tear gas and live fire to drive them out. Later, a car bomb killed 2 more protesters, but it was not clear if they were the intended target. Lawmakers in Chile agreed today to hold a spring referendum to replace the country's unpopular constitution. It was imposed during General Augusto Pinochet's military rule nearly 40 years ago. The new agreement follows a month of protests that have seen more than 20 people killed. The protesters blame the Constitution for deep-seated economic inequality.
Today, people are able to move the barriers of politics, to move the barriers as much as possible. Today, we are going to have a referendum for the first time in democracy that asks people whether or not they want a new constitution, and also asks them what that mechanism to transform it would be. If today we are able to dream of a constituent assembly, it is because people have been on the streets.
Voters will decide next April on calling a constitutional convention to draft a constitution. A later vote will consider the document itself. Palestinians in Gaza have returned to picking up the pieces after an overnight flare-up rattled a day-old truce. It happened when Islamic Jihad militants, backed by Iran, fired a new round of rockets, and Israel struck back with new airstrikes. The Israelis said later that there will be no further air raids if there are no additional rocket attacks. For the second time this week, high-tide flooding has submerged much of Venice, Italy. Water levels peaked today at 5 feet above sea level, forcing the closure of the iconic St. Mark's Square. Locals were defiant but frustrated.
I'm
not afraid because I'm a Venetian and used to it, but it hasn't ever been like this with all these consecutive days. We are in an emergency and we just can't put up with it anymore.
The flooding on Tuesday was even worse, hitting the highest level since 1966. Since then, sea levels in Venice have risen by 4 inches, and the city has slowly settled deeper into the mud. Back in this country, the Trump administration announced rules to make health insurers and hospitals post prices up front. Officials said the goal is to foster competition and push down costs for common tests and procedures. The healthcare industry and major hospital groups said they plan to sue. They argue the proposals would violate the privacy of contracts and create confusion. And on Wall Street, 3 major indexes racked up new record closes as the White House reported progress on a trade deal with China. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained nearly 223 points to finish above 28,000 for the first time. The Nasdaq rose 61 points, and the S&P 500 added 23. Still to come on the NewsHour, a report from Hong Kong where the months-long protest movement has entered a new phase. Mark Shields and David Brooks break down the first week of open hearings in the impeachment inquiry. And the smoke has settled, but the debate rages on. Paris wrestles with how to rebuild Notre Dame.
This is the PBS NewsHour from WETA Studios in Washington and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.